Okay, so I'm going live onto YouTube.
This.
All right, we are in program number 4 of Coeleen Kiebert and the Creative Drive. And so good evening, Coeleen. Good evening, panelists. And Coeleen, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah.
You might want to say
So actually, this is number 6.
Yeah, or more actually. But so Coeleen Kiebert is a well-known artist in particularly in ceramics in Santa Cruz, California, and she's been teaching the psychology of art, I guess we could call it, for many years. And so Coeleen, go ahead.
Okay. Well, through all these sessions, we've been through the our doodles and our collages, our drawings, our poetry, installation piece that you did, Jerome. And now today I want to talk more about progressing the images that have been coming up in your work. And I'll share that how I've been doing that since I last saw you 2 weeks ago. A lot has happened since then in the studio with just this progressing the image idea. But I'd like to start by reading a piece that was sent to me by Lindsay Johnson of an interview with Federico Fellini, who the person who interviewed her is a relative of hers. And I'm going to pull this up. So let's see, I guess I hit share screen.
No, I think you have to be enabled.
Okay, I need to let me do that.
Okay.
I just have to know what screen I'm on.
And while I'm going to read this to you, but you'll have the text up on the screen in front of you too.
Okay, so you should have seen yourself being made a co-host just then, Coeleen. So now we have a lot of co-hosts, and you should be able to share your screen now.
Now hit the green, share screen.
Okay.
And it should be right there. There, is that it right there?
No, I hit share here first usually. There we go.
Yeah.
Move everybody over here. I think it'll be a little better. So this is out of a lovely, it's like an essay that became a book.
Wait a minute, that's a statement.
And let me move it on the screen a little better. There we go.
That's not it.
Finding Fellini.
Oh,
You can drop out of this and then point at a specific thing on your screen.
With my pointer?
Yeah, in other words, end the share screen, number 1. Then number 2, go into share screen a second time, but this time carefully highlight the square that you want to share.
I think that one underneath, yeah, that one. Isn't
because
that it?
Yeah, and click on that.
And then click on that, yeah, and share it on that, and then
just double check. No,
only that item should come up.
There you
yes, there you go.
Okay, thank you, beautiful. This came about because Charles Ketchum, who is a minister, I think, in the Presbyterian Church. I'm not positive about that, but he's from the church as we know it, wanted very much to meet Fellini. And so he calls it Finding Fellini, glimpsing the gifts of artistic vision. Ketchum was a fan of Fellini's films, as I am, and something interesting that at the same time, this interview evidently took place in the early 70s, 1974, while Fellini was filming Armor Cord. And Ketchum was trying to get an interview with Fellini at the same time that my teacher, Frank Barron, was involved in supervising a student at Berkeley who was having an interview with Fellini. So that was going on at that time with Fellini. And part of the interest is that Fellini was in analysis with Carl Jung. And when you know that and you see his films, then you can bring a lot of your Jung knowledge to the viewing of those films. Frank had us watch the films once a week in order of their production and with that discussion. But her meeting Fellini was very much as Ketchum's. It was a tough thing to do, to pin him down, but he finally pins him down. And after second trip, last four days of his month-long trip, he finally gets him. So I wanted to share this. These are excerpts from the book. These particular statements that Fellini made. But while I do that, I'd like for you to doodle, for us to have an experience together. This is where we all started. The first day was with our doodling. And if you've got a journal and a pen or a piece of paper that you can just put in front of you, and grab a pen, or grab, if you've got a big sheet of paper and some crepas, just go right ahead and do it the way you want to do it. And if you would begin now, just letting the doodle fall out while I read what is before all of us here. So in this interview, Charles Ketchum and Federico Fellini describe the creative process as it unfolds throughout the making of a film, which I believe was Armor Cord. He said he was making Armor Cord at the time. And as we've talked about the creative process in those stages and phases, it's remarkable to me how well they describe what's happening with Fellini. So in this statement, which you're welcome to have a copy of, I've delineated in capital letters where I see the creative process happening. So he starts with statement of intention, and Fellini says, so what is my work? To first of all, recognize, now that right there, to first of all, recognize, which is huge. You know, we make our collages and or we have a dream. It's to recognize and then to admit, he says, to recognize and then to admit, to say to myself that this is the little taste which touches me. I have something to do with it. Just that sentence, the whole phenomena of it is like the statement of intention, which we so often bypass, thinking it's not important enough. But as he says, to recognize and admit that it is. So my work is, after that, to try to go on through this little hole and to discover what this little taste has to do with another little taste and another and another. So this is the gathering. It goes on and on, all around the same little hole, the same little place. So my work is, after that, to try to go on through this little hole and to discover what this little taste has to do with another little taste and another and another. So it is like to start to work in a little narrow pathway and to know better day by day, week by week, a little town in which you are now living. You can imagine that's your collage. So you realize, And this is where the intimations are coming in, making the connections. So you realize that you have been chosen to just talk about that town. And I prepare everything I can to try to make possible the materialization of all the fantasy in which I have been obliged to go just from a little detail, a sound, a smell, a scene. And then he goes on, this is almost more like a reflection, because he says, certainly unconsciously, I have a kind of vision. I try to consider all the practical aspects of the operation in a scientific way. I try to say anyway that it is impossible to have consciousness of the work you are doing because you are like a medium. You are completely identified in that kind of fantasy that takes you like a big mouse and eats you. I love that. That's like the Numinous experience. You're taken in by it and it's just eating you up. You feel obliged. Your responsibility is to yourself. If you don't manifest the direction for which you were born, you become sick. You know, it's not a conscious thing. For a creative person, you have to start from another differentiating way to see reality, to match the divine. And then he finishes with, I want to reduce my art to a practical and human proportion, but an operation that takes risks, as you would say, to match the divine, like God. So when I make a picture, I am involved with a little character or a little situation, or even less, a light or a certain hour of the day, or the sound of a bell, or something that says, I have a little world in myself, a little planet that I still don't know, but will try to have a connection. They are intimations. They contact me. So let's see what happened. Would you all hold up your doodles? Let's see what.
So you should stop your screen share,
okay,
Coeleen, so that we can see everybody.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Let's hear a title. Yeah, Kathy, can you hold up yours? Let's hear a title from each of you about your doodle. What title would you give it? Skip?
Heffalump.
Heffalump. All right.
Heffalump.
Nancy?
Nancy?
Got a title? Unmute, Nancy.
Just did. Okay. Determination.
Okay. Jerome. Unmute, please.
Let me get this off. You can't see it. Hold on. I need to get off thing here. Okay. This was like a film, and you said Fellini, and I said feel, and then you said taste, and so it's like you're making a film because he was a filmmaker, and then it's the hometown, and then so I thought of my hometown, which is a church, and you can see the bells, and you see figures at the playground playing, and so that's you're trying to capture that whole scenario between all the elements. And so I made it into a circular thing. You go round and round, as you say, and develop the theme. So.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Thank you. Leah? Yeah.
It's a little hard to see. I did it in pencil, but I'm just calling it little holes.
Mm. Oh, yeah. Good, good. Luann?
I'm calling mine piece because I felt very peaceful when I was listening to you and drawing it.
Okay, Gilda.
I called mine the Divine Garden.
Mm.
Sorry, I didn't today. I just brought a notebook and
It's okay. It's all right. Anne.
I would have to get up and get some.
You want to show it? Can you
Yeah.
see it?
Yeah.
It's very light. Anyway, I call it, it just what came to me, heaven and earth,
Ah,
because I've got lots of clouds somehow. They look like clouds. This is a waterfall. These are mountains with trees, and these are little people, stick figures going on.
all right. Okay. Diane.
It's hard to know what. There's two Diane.
that's
Sorry.
Diane. Oh, okay. Diane Chaman. Well, thanks, Diane. Excuse me, Diane Margiela. Yeah.
The inner eye.
Ah,
Interact. Good. Mhm.
yeah, Diane Margiela.
I'm not sure what to call it, but it seems very slippery to me. The slippery slope.
Okay. Hi, Tim.
Hello. I'm only here for a few minutes, but this is something I call Through the Tiny Hole.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Jewel.
I'm calling this Growing Me. I was really touched by what you said. I've got a echo here. Let me get rid of it. It touched me because as I started, hold on just a moment, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you all. I could ask you what you thought of the message, but your response, visual, says so much more about what Fellini was saying. To go back to the speaking in images, speaking in symbols, and communicating with each other in symbols. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you all for doing this. I wanted to go through the process before I look at your work that some of you brought today, of what I've been doing. Let me switch my camera here. Let's see. Do I hit share screen to get into this bigger picture when I go to the other camera?
I don't know.
Let's see. I believe I'm.
You can either share.
Let me go here again. Try this again.
Yeah, we're seeing the image.
What image are you seeing?
Well, we're
one here?
seeing Rembrandt and
Okay.
Oh yeah, there it is. Cool.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
you
Good.
wanted to know something about Rembrandt?
Yeah.
I-
So, what was that?
You said you wanted to know some things about Rembrandt when you finish the
Yeah.
talk.
Let me wait to go to that. But hang on to that, please. I'm going to need it. So as some of you may remember, this is a collage that I was starting with, and I had decided that we had talked about the map of the collage, and for me, the lower left-hand corner of the collage is the most interesting part right now, and is often the juiciest part of the collage anyway. So I decided to go after that. So the lacy corset would represent the whole to me that Fellini was talking about. So you go after this image and get as much out of this image as I can. We'll talk about Rembrandt a little later because that's my summer project. So I took a photo of that corner and and I did a painting of the corner. And the painting is here. And what I might mention that is in the photo is this red ribbon. You can barely see it, but there is a red ribbon in this corset at the top there. And so I painted the red ribbon, and I painted the rest of the fabric around the red ribbon. And then from time to time, I would come back to it and delineate it. But I did the painting of that, and then I made the first maquette in clay. And this is the first image. It's hard to, there's so much light. Maybe if you can close that blind. But I did a few clay images, and then I came back to the drawing again, and realized that I wanted the lace to be more a part of the process. So I dipped lace in white paint and did a stencil on top of the painting, and then went back to build the sculpture. And after a few maquettes, let's see now, how do I get to the photos that I wanted to?
Just move that aside.
I have the photos that you sent me, Coeleen, if you want me to show those.
Just give me a moment here. I think that Kathy has got them up here for me. Oh, good. Okay, so let's see.
Are you seeing the photos, Skip?
No.
Are you?
No, I'm seeing a blank slate.
Right, so
Dark
we have
slate.
to share screen.
Okay, so I go back to share screen.
Yeah, go back to share screen.
Do this. Back to meeting.
Yeah. Try hitting the blue camera on the menu down below. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually what I do. Huh. Okay, so is it ducked under there? Do you have it down?
Let's see.
Down in the down. No.
I can't find.
So meanwhile on YouTube, just in case, says Jerome's drawing of his hometown looks like a brain, a reference to Federico Fellini's artistic mind.
Yes.
That's with the question mark. Yeah, Jerome's drawing of his hometown looks like a brain, a reference to Federico Fellini's artistic mind, question mark.
Let's see what
Yeah, it does look like a brain.
Yes.
yeah.
With the church at the base.
Yeah. Ringing a bell or something. But see, the film strip was going around.
Oh yeah.
He's a movie maker, so it could be what's going around in Fellini's brain. So I can name that Fellini's brain. So
Okay. So Coeleen,
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble here.
I have your piece here, which I can share if you like.
But I don't think that you have what I'm trying to show right now.
Oh, okay. Maybe I
It's
don't.
it's big on my screen, but
It's not letting us get back into
I
I
can't get
made
back
it blue
in.
now.
Let's
Before it was on pencil.
There it is.
Mhm.
I think it's more like Phoenix Rising now.
Uh-huh.
Since here, that's you
Yeah.
had all this.
But no, now how do I get to my pictures?
Okay, now you share screen.
Yeah.
Okay, and now there are the pictures right there.
Okay. So this would be the do I hit share first?
I don't think you don't have to because it's there. Yeah. Okay, try that. Double click.
No. Can
you see them now?
Yeah.
Coeleen?
Okay.
That's what I have. That's what I have.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, this is the, and can you see my marker?
The red line, the red stripe.
No, my pointer. But
Oh.
perhaps
Oh.
you can see the red ribbon. And then there's the, as I go back and forth from building it in clay and painting it, I discover more and more things. And I took a magnifying glass and discovered the label here is a French label. It says Paris. It just adds to the preciousness of the whole ensemble.
Mhm.
And then there are these whale bones, which you might remember we had in old corsets. I can remember those and
Mhm.
generations ahead of me. So I happened to be reading Moby Dick at the time. So it all felt very relevant.
Mhm.
And let's see, I wanted the sculpture that came out of that is here. You see this one. So this is the image of the corset and the corset being pulled open. And this is before the first firing. So the red ribbon is here. You can barely see it. And all of the blue turns out to be more of a white glaze. But this is firing number 1. This is afterwards where the colors begin to come up. And this is the label, the French label that I just love. And then this is the final piece, which is the bones that are in the middle of that piece where I pulled it back. And these are luster glazed with silver. And now for me, the next piece to work at is what are these bones about? You know, how many layers in my life do I need to open before this story is finished?
Mhm.
And what are these different layers about? How many lifetimes, how many personas have I lived with the dress that's on the outside, the lining that's in there, what the red ribbon is about in terms of a certain time in my life, the ruffles, a kind of period of feminine, but now this inner barrier or gate made of silver is very important, very tough, and I have my work laid out for me. So I wanted to show you this as an example of sticking with your image. And I have yet this to go, which I don't know that I might have it next month. We'll see. We'll see. It's more of a psychological issue than a physical problem.
Mhm.
So let me get back on the screen now with all of you, and I'd like to see some of the images that you've sent in
Stop sharing.
yourself.
Stop sharing.
So I'll stop share.
There you go.
And
So you build your sculpture and you fire it and then you work on it and you fire it again and you work on it and you fire it again. Is that how you build it?
yes, yes, this was about 5 or 6 firings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
fiery
Do we have a
process.
picture of it after the firing?
I have a picture of it after the
Oh,
firing.
would you
I'd like
pull
to
that up for me?
Yeah, I will.
Thanks.
Just a moment.
And what material do you use?
Porcelain, clay,
Okay.
high fire porcelain,
Okay.
Uh-huh.
and it's about 24 inches tall in 2 pieces.
and is this one of your navigators here? Looks like she has wings on her earphones.
Well, she's definitely part of the Navigator series. She has these special headphones.
Yep.
She's taking in special information. She has a visor on, and in the back of her head, maybe I dare to try to do this. Here, I'm going to show you the back of the piece. The
Okay,
back of her head, she has a motherboard.
Okay. We're just seeing your photograph right now, Coeleen.
There, that's it. That's
That
it.
was it?
Well, are you gonna pick this camera up and use this camera?
Yeah.
Here, you can just take it now.
Oh, I see. I had it
You had it.
on that camera.
Yeah. That black is this board. There you go.
So
Yeah, just grab that.
this is the back of the piece, the head.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And
It's
that's
like
like a computer board from which I try to make sense of it all.
Uh-huh.
And then the headphones that come around to it. And then the French label. And then the...
When you say the French label, where is that in the sculpture?
It's the blue line right here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Yeah. If Kathy, I'll turn it for you. There's the side view.
Oh.
And I feel like this is sort of like Daphne, that moment when she realizes that she's turning into a tree. The piece feels to me like it's that moment when she realizes that these coverings are coming off and that they're no longer needed. But what's being revealed when they're not there anymore,
Is she turning into a computer chip?
Coeleen, were you thinking about Daphne before I told you about my Daphne project?
Yes, I had done a Daphne piece many years ago.
Oh, I see.
Then when you and I were talking you were talking about the Daphne that you're going to be taking part in. What is the name, or say a little bit about that?
Well, it's based on the myth about Daphne and Apollo, and I was doing it as an assignment from my gallery that we have a theme of paradigm shift, and so I thought the most visual thing I could think of was Daphne running away from Apollo. And as she runs, she prays to the river god, her father, to change her into a form that he won't like or will make Apollo go away. And so the father turns her into a laurel tree. So that's the first paradigm shift. And then I have the racing scene, and then when she is a tree, it says, the title of that one is She'd Rather Be a Tree. And the second one then is She Is a Tree. And then I made her into a constellation, which there isn't one. I just made up a constellation for her and call it Daphne in the Sky with Diamonds.
Oh,
right on the wall, the wall behind me right there.
Oh, that's just wonderful. No, it's that moment when she's changing that I was trying to grab around this other issue. Do you have images? Can we see?
Yeah, I do. I have them. I'll have them. I'll show you.
Okay, great. This is not unlike what I know is going on in your work, Luann. And Leah also has this opening, and it amazes me how the collective begins, something's coming up about the feminine changing in the collective unconscious.
Oh, definitely.
This is Anne's studio, if I can speak for her. Anne is my sister-in-law.
Okay,
and,
this is
in Princeton. She's in Princeton.
they're all very different from each other. I don't know. Can you see?
Oh my goodness, very developed.
Yeah, but so there's Daphne running, and here's Apollo doing a flying leap at her.
Oh boy.
Oh,
and her arms are turning to branches, and her feet, she's becoming rooted
Oh boy.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then, so that's, she'd rather be a tree. And this is, she is a tree.
Oh,
And you can see that her skin behind it is the bark of a tree.
Oh, the bark.
oh,
And there are things going, branches coming up around her, and her face, which is kind of astonished at what's happening to her.
Mhm.
and the mouth open.
Yeah, the mouth open and hard, I think.
Yeah.
And then Daphne in the Sky with Diamonds is much more collage. Like, there's a reflection.
Oh, no.
Because here's Daphne, if you can see, that's sort of a negative space. And
Yeah.
these are the heavens. And of course, she's turning into the tree here too. And then there's stars. And yeah, I guess you can see it up there. There you go.
What medium did you use?
Well, this is rice paper. This is cut out of an atlas. This is mylar. And I cut out that. It works as a kind of gray, but I like the idea of working with negative spaces so that the image, the actual figure is not there. It's just the space around her that defines the figure.
Yeah, beautiful.
So,
oh, thank you, Anne.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very cool.
And these are going to be shown in an exhibit that you're taking part in?
Yeah, it's gallery. We used to be a brick and mortar gallery, but now we're a virtual gallery. And this will be online with a whole lot of other artists starting June 1st at Soho 20 Gallery.com.
Thank you.
Thank you for your interest.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will go back to the PowerPoint here. We already saw that version. This was another one, and
painting.
This was the drawing that you had done, I guess.
And the blue coming down through the middle of that informed me about my glazing. The whole painting did, informed me about the glazing.
And what do you mean by informs you?
Well, when I wondered what I'm going to do with the glazes, when I would go back and look, went back and looked at this and realized that there's this chasm, this dark blue chasm, and it's very important. And that I just was going to do that. I'm going to make sure that that is there in the sculpture, and it is. And then this is also where I put the, there you go. That's,
you can see it.
Okay.
And then the white lace that's dipped in white paint is just superimposed on top here. And I had the feeling that I was entering the Holy Ghost when I did that.
Wow.
Entering the Holy Ghost?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So is that what caused you to do the ruffles? The lacing?
The ruffles were before that. They're more like this, coming up next to the deep blue. No, that really came later. That, but I knew that the ruffles had to be white.
And how did you transfer the lace superimposition here into the sculpture?
Just by making it in clay with the ruffles. And there's some,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, there's some embossed lace on the ruffles. You can see in the blue.
Okay.
The blue of the ruffles has got a pattern of lace.
Like
where are the whale bones? Are they in the paintings?
In my sculpture, they're right here.
No, I know, but in the paintings, did they show up or that came later?
Let's see. Oh, yes, they're in the painting. If we go back.
So is this the whale bones?
Yeah.
That's
no, up here. These straight up and down between the breasts.
Oh, here.
Yes.
In there. Those are the whale bones.
And in the finished piece, that's silver luster. It's a bright, shiny. Yeah. Here, it's very silvery and very armor-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It probably is a kind of armor that I still have to deal with. And then your question, there was a, Gilda, I think you had another question, maybe.
Oh, no, you answered it. You said you transfer the stenciled lace, you actually stamped it on the ruffles
I have a
as
question.
a pattern.
Uh-huh.
Are you in not knowing about the blue? Do you know anything about the blue yet, or you just have it there?
I do here, because you can see how deep the blue is.
Right.
That's so interesting that the subject is coming up like this look, and the mouth open. It's hard to tell whether that's an inhale or an exhale. What would you say, Anne, about yours? Is it an inhale or an exhale?
I think it's an inhale. I don't know why I think that. I guess just because it's drawing in her breath in surprise.
Yeah.
You know, she wasn't expecting to end up the day as a tree.
I like in Coeleen's that you cannot tell. It can be either or.
Yeah. Let's look at this next image of Luann's that you just showed. Luann, tell us what's going on with these.
Right. And so, Luann, I'll stop sharing mine and you go ahead and show them from your computer.
Oh, these aren't the right ones.
So, Diane, did you have a question, Margiata?
Yes, I just thought the way the lips are open, she's vocalizing and saying om, you know, kind of almost like a hum, like soft singing, but without words.
Yeah, or a soft surprise, like, oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Get my share screen on my iPod is not working.
Okay.
So
I have everything here, so let's do it from mine. I'm not sure they're all in the right order, but I think they are. So this would,
they are.
Yeah. Okay. So this would be one.
That's the second one.
Okay.
Another open mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
Second one. If I put this up to the camera, oh, there you go. Okay, let's see that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What, this one?
This is the image that I started with. And this was originally a Rocky of a face. And Coeleen said, progress it farther. And so this is the progression. And what I saw in this was this little elfin figure in the middle of your screen.
Mm-hmm.
She or he has a finger out and is touching this woman on the side of the screen, touching her hand. And I view that just instantly as the creative impulse. The little elf is bestowing the creative impulse on this woman. So that's the first screen. And then I started sculpting.
When you say, and then I started, it's like Fellini saying, you know, it speaks to you, then you know.
Okay.
Oh, I was so excited when I saw it. Okay, this is not the first one.
Let me show you. I'll show you what I have here. I have this. I have this.
You've got way too many.
I have that.
Okay, here's the first one.
Okay, this is the first one. All right.
Okay, so this person really looked like an ingenue, like she didn't quite know enough to know what was happening when she's being touched by the creative impulse.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like a very young woman to me. It's the first part of her life. I think probably, you know, I'm thinking about it in terms of myself. So I think probably I thought, or if I was touched by any creative process, it was the making of children. So that's what that was. And the second one,
Okay. I just want to clarify here. Okay, so the second one would be where?
on right. This
one?
is the yeah.
Okay.
There should be an image too of her face front. But this seemed like a woman. Coeleen, actually, let me back up. Coeleen and I in class were looking at that young woman, and I said, I'm unhappy with this woman. I need to make her older. I need to make her look more mature. And she said, move the eyes up to the eyebrows and it'll make a tremendous difference, which is what I did in this one. And this is a woman in middle age. And she too is being touched, but she has a career, she has a family, she's trying to get ahead in the world and be known. And she's way too busy to even know that she's been touched. Progressed it a little farther. And I got to a woman that's my age, that has jowls, that her eyes look a little tired. Well, that's true. And I really loved that. But the interesting part of all of this for me was that that's still the, maybe you don't have the old woman.
Yeah, is this the old one? No.
No.
I mean, I thought I put in all, oh, how about no?
No, she's the young one.
That's the young one. I don't know. I thought I put them all on that Kathleen had sent me.
Maybe, okay.
I sent them all. I sent all the ones that you,
we don't have the old one. I'm gonna try to find.
I'll tell you what. Let me stop my share here, and I'm going to go to what I have here. And oh, there's something more. Just a minute. Let me share just my.
Luann, do you have the piece there?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do you have a photo of the piece?
All right. So here, okay. So here's one. Can you see the ones that are in the shared space now? Is that one of them?
Can you see this one? Can you make this bigger? Whoops, I just lost it.
Wait a minute. Okay, just a sec. All right, so you're going to show us on your screen. Go ahead, and you have to speak though, so that you become the larger image here. So Luann, make a sound so that
tell us about it.
Yeah,
what's the name of the piece? What's the name of the piece?
Yeah, Zoom will come to you if you speak.
There we go. Thank
you.
She's really trying hard.
The piece is me, and I really wanted you to see it because of this progression that we did.
Can you show it on your phone? Can you put the phone up to the photo of it up to the camera?
Yeah, I could.
Meanwhile,
I'm sorry, I am not technically savvy.
That's all right, but let me
okay,
go.
Here we go.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yes. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
So she.
Man.
Okay, let me see if I have that one.
Pull back a little bit, Luann. A little bit.
Let's pull back.
Yeah.
Oh,
there we
wonderful.
go.
So this woman has time and energy to feel like she's been touched and to go for it. And that's kind of that's exactly what I felt like when I began with Coeleen, 10 years ago. And I wished I'd been sensitive enough to feel it earlier, but I was not. But the working the collage, making the ingenue, having Coeleen help me change it to a middle-aged woman, and then deciding myself that I wanted to progress it farther was a total revelation, because for one thing, just the process, doing it all on one piece, I didn't have that feeling like, oh, I want to keep this, it's important. I was into the progression of it, not the actual fact of the piece. But I'm going to keep one because I love her.
Yeah.
Yes, cool.
Please do. Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm sorry it was not smoother.
Oh, it was worth it. It was worth it. Thank you, Luann. Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah. Kathleen, I checked and I did not have those images.
Yeah, I didn't get those either to send them to you. So
okay. Yeah.
Are there other images now?
Yes, there are. Just a sec. Okay. All right. So we're on that. We've been through these. And then Dana Lee.
Ah, Dana.
she won't be here, but you can describe it for her.
Well, Dana's not here, but I'll describe, this is an opportunity to talk about Rocky. When we talk about a Rocky method that we started using, it's because I met a woman by telephone in her last weeks of life. Again, Lindsay was the connector, and she was reading for this woman in hospice. The woman was blind, and her name was Rocky. And she was called Rocky by her 6 children because they saw her as a rock. She was a art major at Stanford University, graduated as an art major at Stanford University, and married a man who was at the time a Travis monk. And they married. And in the evenings, and she continued to do her art, and she illustrated some books, and her art was always there in the evening. So after the children would go to bed, her husband would read out loud, and she would paint. And she came up with what she called emerging images in her painting. And she felt like she had come upon something that she wanted someone to know about before she died. And I was the lucky one. Lindsay was her reader, and Lindsay said, I think you two should meet. And so we met by telephone about 6 months ago. And we had about 4 or 5 telephone conversations before she died. I think the last conversation was about 2 weeks before she died. And she said, you take a piece of watercolor paper and you get it wet, which is what you do. We all know that who have done watercolor. And then you cover it with color. And in this case, watercolor. And she said, it's important that you use your whole body, that you move your arms around, that you fill this page up with color. And then you stare at it. You gaze at it, and you must be very careful to keep your eyes on it and not look away. Because if you just gaze on it, an image will begin to come up, and you have to capture it right away. Got to get it fast or it'll get away from you. And she called these emerging images. And she was also a fan of Emil Nolde. Some of you may be familiar with his work, but this was his style of working. And evidently Santa Clara University has a collection of his work. And she said she would spend hours at that university poring over his paintings and then working in this way. So we've been calling it the Rocky method. And this is what Dana has done here. So it's the start of a Rocky piece. So let's see what happens. So she started to define it, as you saw, with the lines, and then she brought her collage into it. And
Grace Kelly.
Yes, she described this as her shadow, the three aspects of her shadow: Grace Kelly, Marilyn Monroe, and Sophia Loren. So fabulous shadow projections. And then we have Diana over here, who is asleep. The princess has not awakened yet. And then over here is an animus, a masculine, and Jungian terms, a masculine character. Yes, who for her is very negative. And then the snake, which appears in her work regularly, is the connecting vehicle, but I see that it's also, it speaks to her senses, to her body, to the earth, to bring in the animal. And then we have the persona flying across the top of the center, which is looking at these many aspects. And the wise woman is in the top right-hand corner, the African-American woman.
What is she holding?
She's holding a snake and Diana, Princess Diana.
Just see, I don't know, that's different. Okay, so this
do
is.
Do we have a sculpture from Diana?
No, this is all I have, these two.
Okay.
It actually looks like, from afar, it looks like a head with a piece of white looked at from behind the head, a big head lying down, looking at it from the front of the head. And then there's nose, and then on the left there's a right eye. So I thought she was holding a head. Because I'm seeing it from afar, and so.
That's what happens when you look at them.
What's she holding?
All right, let's look at Diane's.
Right. Okay. So Diane, what I did here was, this is what you showed last time, and I'm showing each numbers 1 through 4 upright, and then in the next one, there's what you sent me just now, which is the prologue. So this is number 1, showing prologue on the top of the mandala. So Diane, go ahead. You're muted, Diane.
Sorry. So last time, I had the intention of writing, and it seemed like it was a map for a piece of writing for me as well that really speaks to myself. So I guess I'll just read it to you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think of myself as a writer. So this is the mandala of the self, and my pen name is Diane Carroll, by the way, Skip. That's why it said that. But this is the prologue. So this is this was like the creative process. I forgot what you called it, Coeleen, when you did the quadrants in the circle.
The map, yes,
Yeah. So this is the first one. That this just came up for me before you talked about that, and it all was just in the 4 quadrants. So the first one is prologue. Spinning out of the great void, life unfolds in the deep unconscious, manifesting all variety of life, seeking the sun's nourishing rays by day, revivified by the reflective light of the moon by night. Moving into the delta, holy water flows in the circle of becoming and penetrates all elements, spiraling into full-blown multiplicity. Amongst that many is the one who becomes aware of the self through the many selves the one has created in one's own image. The great syzygy, the self. So I hope you can read along, or you can read along.
Yes, yes, that's working beautifully. Yeah.
Onto the mud flats, we creep upon pins to forage among the algae laden with eggs and larvae of creatures that sprout wings to escape our closing mouths until we grow other appendages to wrap around their lithe bodies to fuel our growth. And you there beside me shadow my transformation, and I shadow yours. And the cycling and recycling of Chronos, all manner of creature, half formed and complete, yet ever changing, spin off more conscious progeny. We emerge along the water as small mammals and find shelter. We emerge along the water as small mammals and find shelter in tunnels we dig into the earth and in her giant trees to escape becoming fodder for greater creatures than us. At the opportune moment, Kairos intersects the timeline, fusing God, goddess to us. We become human and begin to ponder our beginnings and our endings. And amongst the elements, we discover images hewn into stone by water, wind, earth, and our own hands. In the dancing fire, those images come alive, while deeply rooted magical incantations escape our throats, initiating us into the mystery of creation.
Wow.
So next one is experience.
Okay.
That sense of images come alive as you talk about our throats exhaling this life. Yeah.
Okay, so the second one is experience. And it begins with a quote from W.B. Yeats. "Come, fairies, take me out of this dull world, where I would ride with you upon the wind and dance upon the mountains like a flame." W.B. Yeats. Opening our arms wide to all experience, we wander the earth. Following the water, we pierce her great forests and become enchanted by the mystery. We climb her highest peak. Looking out on distant horizons, we soar with the birds in our imagination. In a flight of fancy, we dance like a flame upon the mountain's base, rappelling down into the rush of the coursing river that has carved out our path into the frothing waters of life. Carried along the course of life's events, we explore the crooks and crannies, branching off into dead ends. We again face the dangers of rushing waters that pour us into still pools, opening into caverns, leading us into the deep, dark unconscious, where we meet again and penetrate the other side of the veil.
Okay.
So again, calling in your drawing, the first one, the prologue, was the unconscious. And then the second one, experience, is like the beginning of life. So it's sort of like the quadrants of my life as well. So it's at the same time collective and personal.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is choose. Into the dark night we descend. Unforeseen beings swim about, visible only by the flight of their phosphorescence. Multi-armed floating heads spin and dance, changing from dark to light, and disappear like black smoke from mobile fires into the dark waters. When out of the phantasmagoria, we are confronted by a two-headed serpent. Mouths wide open, we flee, diving deep into the reef, where we watch its dark, alluring dance in the ephemeral play of light. Mesmerized like the moth to the flame, we choose the light and swim into the flame, sizzling into a flash. The two heads of the serpent transform into the two-sided head of Janus at the mast of the ship its body has become. On the ship of souls, we sail out of the dark waters.
Oh, no.
So that third quadrant you talked about being where you spent too much time. So I think maybe I've spent too much time in my personal life and perhaps not enough or too much in the collective. I'm not sure. And the last one is awakened. So again, this is the consciousness in the fourth quadrant where you found your inspiration, Coeleen, in your collage.
Yes.
So awaken. From the ashes, a fire shall be woken. A light from the shadows shall spring. J.R.R. Tolkien. Spiraling out of the flame, carried by the wind, we sail into the Sphinx, where a fire is awoken, and we are consumed by its riddles. What does the lion with a human head become? With the revelation of animus in our humanity, the goddess is revealed in our souls. Awaken out of the dream of separation of goddess in creation. Our ending is our beginning. Flying into the sun as the phoenix, we return to the earth, knowing the syzygy of the self, goddess, in all its mystery. Out of the great void spirals the one and the many and the one, renewed.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
So it's very similar to a book that I wrote. It's called Where Dreams Coincide. And all of those quadrants are in that book as well.
It's in the pattern of the human being. It's in our DNA when we pay attention or when we go there. This is beautiful. What has the experience been like for you to do this?
Well, as I told you, and I might bring that next time for a piece to share with you. That I lost my best friend from when we became friends when we were 13 years old, a very important moment in the child's life. And I lost her at the end of August. And so this has sort of been part of the healing process for me. And I told you last time you asked me, so where is she in this? And I said, she's in every one of the quadrants. So it's been healing for me. And it's also sort of my guide, in the last quadrant of my life. So I think it will serve me.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope you all get something out of it too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah, we do.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Diane.
So next is Nancy Pfaff. Nancy, are you there?
Here I am. So this is a second image. I don't know if you can see if I hold up the first image that I had.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Right.
So that was the first image, and that was called Reality. And it was an intuition of an inner experience where I hit up against the dark side of the self, so to speak. And so when I first made this first one, I was stunned, in a case of being stunned, you might say. But as I sat with this image over time, I began to realize that what had happened in that inner experience is that a strength had been stamped into me that I've needed to stand my ground, to be able to say my no's, to be more authentic and less appropriate and less nice, but more authentic. And so what I wanted to do then, my intention for this particular image was to somehow represent this new inner strength, this new sense of don't mess with me, and at the same time loving the other person, having those two as a one. And so I just went through magazines that I had gotten and picked out images that I liked, began putting them down. Some were too bright, some were distracting. I would cover them up with other images. And so I didn't have any intellectual intention or intellectual organization, but just taking whatever appealed to me and putting it together. And the silhouette is that of the Vesica Piscis, which is a unifying symbol. And when I took a picture of this to send it to Skip, I did not notice the glow near the top of the image.
Oh, really? Oh,
And that was a synchronicity I felt.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that I thought of Skip and sitting in that dark chapel when the light hit him full on. You know, that this was the mystery saying, yes, you got it. You know, this is what you wanted to represent. This is it. And I'm right. I'm a part of it. I was in the process. I don't know how to put it exactly, but the sense in which the creative force, that's the creative force, I guess, the glow there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Very
I
nice.
would just say that for me, having had various experiences over the last couple of years, before in 2019, why Christ would have been in the middle of this. But now you see that it's balanced by the devil, that there's been a coming to terms with the shadow, the dark side of the shadow.
Oh,
Very cool.
my, a lifetime. It takes a lifetime to understand that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure does.
Oh, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay. Jerome, I'm going to stop my share and Jerome is going to share his video now that he made. Small video.
Let me see if I can get it the right one. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. First, I like, thanks, Coeleen, for this, giving us this opportunity for a creative journey of discovery is what I call it. And it's, I think, allowing what floats up from our unconscious gradually to take shape and form. And we learn that it follows a process. And then the last time that, in the last session, I did one called The Conjunction, where we burnt the paper of the separation. And there'll be a brief review of that segment when I first start the video. But what I wanted to show was the completion process in terms of an alchemical process, which is what Carl Jung used to use as part of the patterns that we follow in the individuation process. So let me start that.
Cool. Yeah.
So this is fermentation. And we have distillation. And coagulation. Illumination. Revelation.
Elevation.
Okay. Just have to get that thing stopped here.
Yeah. So, Jerome, were you playing that music out into the room, or you were playing it off the video itself?
It's off the video.
Okay.
Could you hear it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What's the
far.
music? What was the music?
The music was from YouTube. It's piano free music, and I've got the title somewhere.
I see. Okay.
And this, I will post this on my YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it, it's got a full description of the alchemical process. So what facilitated this was, if you look at the alchemical stages,
Yeah.
you've got, we went through the first video, we went through the first two, we got to separation, we got to conjunction, and that was the burning up of everything. And then from that stage, the next stage is called fermentation, and that was the mercury or quicksilver, and it represents the solidification of soul and spirit, and it's just waiting for the mystical birth to occur. And it's really gently, and it sets the soul on fire with higher passion, like fire and sulfur. And then distillation is the hood that fits over the purification or the whitening stage. I probably could go back to this stages here. This is fermentation here, and then the distillation, and the coagulation is at the feminine level of the soul. This is where the consciousness is transformed, and the fermented child is fused with the sublimated spiritual presence released during the distillation. And so this is coalesced with, and then what happens is after this, you see the process, they're fighting with each other, and then all of a sudden illumination occurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so this would be this in the psychological process, it would be to create the second body or body of solid light. And this emerges through like the crown chakra, if you're familiar with the chakra system. And it's also on a planetary level, could be coagulation is returned to the Garden of Eden, this time on a higher level with the divine mind. And so that's what this represents here. So,
Beautiful.
And then I noticed at the end, you lost the R and it became elevation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Let's
That's
see what
great.
happens to it.
Yeah, watch. The R disappears.
Yeah.
and
Elevation.
then
Revelation. So we're elevated here. But what's interesting is after I did this, Coeleen, I didn't know what to do when I got to that last scene with, it was all burned up in ashes, and I thought about it. And it just hit me to do this. I wasn't even thinking about the alchemical process.
Yeah.
And so I just said, okay, I'm going to take this heart thing here and just do something with it. I had this heart laying around, somebody gave me. And so I just, decided I would just do something with it. But then Yesterday I went out and I was surprised because where I had near to the spot where I'd burned, and it wasn't exactly on the right spot, but this sprouted out of my gravel. This is underneath the carport. And I said, there must be some synchronicity going on or something.
Yeah.
It's got 4 leaves
Yeah.
in the center. And I was just wiped out from that.
Oh. What a gift. You know, it's like the synchronicity that happened with Nancy's, you know, and that little seal of gold at the top of hers that appears and disappears. How wonderful, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So we have one more, which is Gilda.
Oh, Jerome, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, let me get this.
Very nice.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Okay, Skip, I'm gonna have to.
Beautiful.
I gotta find where I am here.
Same process is being described in so many different ways,
Yes.
including the aha, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, I'm
What
trying
happens when we engage it? Beautiful.
Living art.
I'm trying to find my screen here, Skip. Get off of the share. You want to do it or something? I've lost the.
I don't know how to get rid of yours, but it's usually up at the top of the screen, just and turns into a red button.
Oh, I see it. Okay, sorry about that. All right, I got it.
Okay, okay. So Gilda, I had my question for you is I put the 2 images that you had last time in the PowerPoint too. Did you want to see all of them or only the one you sent me tonight?
The one I sent you.
Okay.
It's okay. The other ones they've been.
Okay. All right. So
you can show them after if you like. I'm just gonna talk about it.
Okay, fine. I just didn't know whether it was all of a piece or something. Okay, so the one you sent
this one
tonight.
Is the Fool.
Okay. Oh, this is the Fool. Okay.
Yes, they're turning out to be tarot major arcana images. Since that sort of gives me an inspire, just so I go at it, and because that's the only, it's collage, and believe it or not, these Caran d'Ache crayons are 30 years old, so I'm just using what I have, and it turns out that they turn out into a Fool card. I had an image of, if you really see, there's an outline. You see the white outline to the right where the green eye is. So you can see the profile of a cat there. See?
Yeah. Right
so in reality, it's it's embedded in there, and I really liked it because it was, and so the fish at the bottom, the Fool is about to jump into the water or somewhere else, and it's straw, it's looking at his hand. I can do it. And then right there in the staff, there's a little bundle in the back, and that is a head upside down. That's the bundle that it's carrying. So that's what it turned out. This is the Fool. It's an image of a card of the Fool, which is and I made it that the animal is highlighted as being big. Usually in the Fool card, it is a human being, and a little cat or dog is biting the leg of the human being, keeping them from jumping. Well, in this version, it is actually the animal part of the human being that wants to go for it. And the intellectual part is over there in the bag upside down, because if you intellectualize it or rationalize it, you would not jump off the abyss, right? So I highlighted it, which is the opposite of the way it is usually portrayed, and there it is. So that's the
very cool. Okay.
So is some of this drawing and some of this painting and some of this cutout collage, or
Well,
Or
I usually treat the piece of paper and make it black.
yeah.
And then I use there was some wood paint around because like I didn't want to use the purple sticks because they get used up right away. So I used some wood paint that was in the basement. After I make it black with Cairn Dodge, right? And then on that, what I did do is make an outline of the shape of the cat and that's it. The
Yeah.
rest is all pieces. I don't draw in it. It's just it might have I might need to do something else to it, but no, it's just cut-ups from
It's so
whatever
animated. It's just wonderful. So
yeah,
animated.
except the original line outline of the shape, so I would know where I'm going to put my pieces, and so on. It gives me a frame. You can see some of it is out. It's there. You can
Yeah,
see.
and I like that. Yeah, the pentimento of the original idea. Yeah, nice.
And it never goes. Does it? My process. There's nothing. I don't know. I have to get this done today because I did it today, and I just start and I go, oh, today it's not happening. I'm not in the mood, or this isn't going anywhere, and it's not looking right. And then it starts building, and and bing bam boom, and but until it does this, until the pieces start knocking me out, then I don't put them down. Then usually I leave it for a day or two and then tweak it if there's a little piece
Yeah.
So, but I didn't have time today to do that. But I spent all day doing it, and all of a sudden, when you look at it, there's all these creatures coming out, all these different things going on, and it's so. What I like about it is that not only does it have frontal, it has profiles, it has the eyes or the reality of it goes in all directions.
Yeah.
It's alive, definitely.
Yes, it's alive.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So that's all I have for tonight, Coeleen.
Perfect.
Is there anyone else that we haven't heard from yet that would like to show
Good
or share what
question.
it is you've been doing?
Good question. Did we miss anyone?
Well, I don't know if I get to go another time, but I did do a big collage, like you suggested.
Oh,
and
let's
then
see it.
develop two of them, two quadrants.
We have
Do you
time.
have time to do
So
that? Is that?
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead. And then I'll give us an assignment for next time.
Here's the original doodle.
Oh.
Very much going on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a minute. I think what I did was I pinned Coeleen, and now okay, say something, Ann, now.
Oh, well, I just did anything that came to mind. I took any materials that were around. I painted, I drew, I did all sorts of things and then set it aside.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. I love the flying.
Well, I bring this up. This was the first quarter. This is the second. This is the third
quarter.
Yeah.
This is the fourth. But the one that inspired me first was the third. This one. And I saw water, and I saw this was a food dog, but I cut him in two, and he looked like a fish, and so I just saw a lot of water in this, a lot of flowing, and so I went with that, and I came up with this. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a figure diving
Yes.
down
Yeah.
in the water, and these are reeds and everything going up, and this is the reeds, which is this is collage.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Can you see the figure?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's what I figured. So that was what was speaking to me. I just took this figure. Actually, this was another Apollo that I didn't use in the other series, and so
Yes.
I just put him in here going down instead of flying. And, to me, I realized that I think, Coeleen, this was about Peter, my husband, who died now almost 4 years ago, and I think I'm finally expressing something about that. I don't feel I have in that really at that time. And so then the next one that I wanted to do was the upper right. And what I saw in this one was a sort of interesting protective kind of figure. And this was, I took this from a tile with that I took a picture of in Morocco, and this was you know, writing in what do they call it?
Arabic.
What?
Arabic.
Yes. You know. So, but to me, it was an abstraction, and so I took from that.
Oh,
that's the figure there.
Yes.
And it seemed like it was embracing things. And then I did this. There are other things. There's pictures in this of these different colors, you know, kind of whispering around and moving. And so I made another one that had those kind of moved. It's almost like a mosaic.
Yes.
And then, and this was sort of a ladder kind of structure that you could see through. Here, more, you know, I'm not quite sure exactly what all this means, but it really, it felt good to do it. I let this go off the bottom and want it to be yellow. Decisions that I wouldn't have made. I put a little bird over here just because. And then here's a figure here.
Oh, yes.
Kind of twisted, sort of contorted a little bit.
Coming up from the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And maybe that's because this again is what made me think of Peter. That it seems like an embrace.
Yes.
And then this maybe is someone who misses that embrace probably. So really, I mean, this isn't not talking about it in the way that you are talking about being in touch with these different kinds of, you know, spirits or life forces and things like that. But I think it's there. I just don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
So that's
it's so hard to talk about these things because they're symbolic, they're images. We don't have a language for them. But it's so, but when you follow the image, look where it takes you, you know, these feelings about Peter and the softness of it. You couldn't have sat back and said, I'm going to do a painting about Peter.
No, I was very surprised. That's where it went. You know, when I looked at it, I just, what I wanted to pursue. You know, that seemed to be, that's how it evolved when I pursued what interested me most in that quadrant.
We don't realize how much knowledge there is waiting for us in our unconscious if we just give it some space and time.
It's really amazing.
Those figures remind me of figures that were done by Coeleen.
Yellow painting on the wall back there. That's
Khalil Gibran.
Oh, Khalil Gibran,
yeah. He does figures something like that in the Prophet and other places.
Oh, like the diving figure. And,
yes.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time, but I remember it.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's probably too hard to. I was just asking Kathleen to get the painting that you gave me. It was really a collage, but when you and I were in China,
Oh,
yeah, we traveled to China together, and this is a,
oh, that's the oh, be darned, that's the listening to Orioles.
yeah.
That's what, there's a pavilion of listening to Orioles, for listening to Orioles, which I thought was just such a great idea. They built this wonderful place.
Show us the picture again, Coeleen.
This is
now she has to speak. Coeleen has to speak.
Okay.
Oh, here they are, the Orioles, and they were deafening. They were so fabulous, and they their voices bounced off the walls of the temple.
Huh.
And
yeah, and these are the Chinese roofs of the Chinese tile roofs over here.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really.
What did you use to paint it?
Let's see. I painted on acetate, I think, these birds, and then I actually sewed funny things on, I mean, sort of tubular things on it. I think. Haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh.
Yeah.
You painted with what, acrylic? Or
acrylic, yeah.
Oil?
In the center.
And again, cut things out and then assembled it. And I got the motion. They're going different directions. I did a whole series of listening to Orioles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for showing that to me, Coeleen. I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah. Well, the similarity, you know, one of the things that we've been talking about is our style of working. And now you can begin to see how each of us has got a style. And things that come up from years ago, you recognize, oh, yeah, that's what Ann did. That's still there. And then we pick a vocabulary. And we have different vocabularies at different times. And each of us individually picks their vocabulary, but you know, the collective is picking us at the same time. And that's fascinating to me about what is going on with the feminine right now, that we're being to open our mouths, you know, and that there's this daringness. You know, Nancy, you talk about it in your work. I know that it's in your work, Luann. I know that it's in your work, Leah. We haven't seen your work today, but I know that you're doing that same gesture.
Yeah.
That the same thing is going on, but we say so much more about it with our art than if we were a consciousness raising group, you know, talking about it.
Yeah, Diane has a question here. Diane Margiata.
Yes.
You still have a hand up there.
I just feel that this was an amazing session and a lot of images truly resonated with me. So I wanted to thank everyone. And also when Coeleen was talking about the whale bones, I kept seeing visions of abstract images. A friend has painted of the passage of the prophet Ezekiel's dry bones and dry bones being made alive.
Yeah.
And just the artistic process making our bones spiritual and physical alive. And in the last image, I also saw, excuse my biblical, ancient writings interest, but the idea of Jacob's ladder, which is a wonderful figure. And sometimes it's scary, that ladder, because you can fall off. But I just felt that you're mentioning the ladder and seeing that blue image of the figure. It felt like falling, but on the other hand, the amazing dream that Jacob had of angels going up and down the ladder in terms of spirit. So I just felt that that those last paintings were especially evocative, and I just wanted to compliment you. And so I don't have anything quite ready enough to show, but maybe another time.
Well,
Thank you.
actually,
Thank you for thank you very much for responding to that.
No apologies about the biblical interventions, because we have 2 more sessions in June on the 8th and the 22nd, the second Tuesday and the 4th Tuesday. And you've all responded so to seeing the patterns, i.e. the map of the collage and the pattern of our creative process. So with these last 2, I'd like to look at the pattern of sacred geometry. And Diane, when you refer to the biblical images, to me, that's part of the research of getting to know your image and getting to know what your vocabulary is about. And Carl Jung said that we are each dealt a religious card at birth, and that card could be Judaic or Christian or Buddhist, Muslim, on and on, but you know what it is. And whether it's a religion that you ever practiced or not, we still know. And the iconography is going to come up in our dreams and in our art when we're doing art this way. So I urge you to do a collage about your religious card. And that would include your religious path. What has it been? What is the card that you were born with? And how has that changed? What have you done with it? And we'll share those the next 2 times.
I'll share a
Should we work
story
at the same, excuse me.
about that. Can I share a little story about
Yes,
that?
yeah.
I'm Catholic. I was born Catholic, and but I don't, I did go to church and all of that as a young child. But I had no idea what's going on. And then I've done Buddhism, from astrology, Hindu, Kriya Yoga, all sorts of things. And enlightenment is my path. It's my passion and my path, and tarot, and I kept being booted out of even though I had all these amazing, I saw visions and I saw Buddha faces in the teachers, all sorts of things, but I kept being booted out from each tradition. And I was thinking,
booted out by the leaders,
by the circumstances in my life were so a dire strait that that somebody would say, well, maybe you need to change traditions, right? No, not by the leaders. I was always a favorite, and I always really good at the whole enchilada, but the outer life was absolutely devastating. So I kept, so this just, maybe it's because you need to be in another one, or you need to go to the other one. So I've been tumbling around. In the last one, I said the most hidden mystics were the Christians. And I've explored Kabbalah and all the different ones. And they were, where are the, I don't explore the Christians because I don't see them. Where are they? They're not around. They're very hidden or complicated, and so that's what Coeleen was talking about. Yeah. And then I found Jung, and that is my primary path. I do practice a lot of the other things I have learned, but the Jungian path, and he's Christian, was the one that just showed up as this is it. Whether because I am at this stage of my life or this or that, but it's the one that afforded me the outer and inner circumstances to be able to stick to it. So what you just said, I have lived.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coeleen, should we be working on this the same way, doing a big collage and then finding? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we'll rearrange it with, make the collage to tell the story, your story, just like Gilda, to see it in the collage. But then we'll rearrange it with sacred geometry together.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
So don't put the images down.
So
there.
just tack them down lightly so
Mhm.
that you can, might not be necessary to move them at all. But we'll look at them with sacred geometry in mind, and you probably are going to be rearranging them then for maybe the last class.
So do you want us to do collage with cut-ups or?
Yeah, like you do.
That's- okay.
Yeah, but the subject is what you just described to us. The story,
Yes.
the story of the card.
Right. So that's in essence, my being was thinking, well, I'm doing a tarot deck. So every time we come in, another card pops up. So I'm kind of might as well do something with what I'm doing. And so now I have 3 cards done. So I guess the next
Beautiful.
one you want sacred geometry. So maybe I'll tackle the Wheel of Fortune or something.
Could be.
Beautiful.
Thank you all so much. What a wonderful time.
Yeah, thank
What a
you.
wonderful
Yeah,
group.
thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Coeleen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The best.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Coeleen. Thank you, Skip. Thank
Okay,
you.
Couple
see
weeks.
you.
My pleasure. I hope everyone's signed up for the Wisdom Path Colloquia, because we have a couple on the Rising Feminine coming up in June 12th and June 26th, I believe.
Yeah, just, would you
Are
say,
they-
do you want to say just a little bit more about that?
Well, I can. Let me I'll turn off my cloaking here. I have 2 of the books that we're doing. So the first one is In Bridget's Footsteps,
This one.
Return of the Divine Feminine by Linda McFadden. And if any of you would like to write a review of these books, we can probably get you a PDF copy of it from Chiron to read. And so Bridget was a Celtic goddess who her footsteps created the bridge to the promised land, let's say. As I understand it anyway. And then the other one is Unveiling Sophia, Heart Wisdom in the Age of Technology. And this is with Anne Elizabeth Taylor. And the reason this is particularly interesting is that Anne has worked at the intersection of neurobiology, mythology, and wisdom traditions. And she worked for, believe it or not, a Seattle-based heart monitoring company. And so she's well-versed in the Western mechanistic view of the heart, and then the Eros side of the heart as well. So that's going to be on the 26th. Anna is in Spain at the moment, and she wanted to be back to.
That's another kind of webinar?
It's these webinars, and are you signed up for the Wisdom Path? If not, maybe I should put the link.
Yeah.
It's called the Wisdom Path?
Yeah. It's something that Tim Holmes and I curate, is the word, curate. And if you go to this link, I will give you the MailChimp link right here. It is on the chat. It will be.
Well, you send it to me already, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm on your list.
You're on the list already. If you're getting my notices of these sessions, then you're on the list. But these sessions with Coeleen are part of the Wisdom Path also.
Oh, I see.
So if you join the Wisdom Path, you're going to have all the notices of all the things we're doing with Coeleen, plus some of these other authors as well. And then we're also doing, and Gilda is very helpful with that, we're doing the Tarot on Monday nights, and we have a advanced reading group. Yeah. Pardon?
I think somebody's dog is
Okay. Right. Okay. And so anyway, we're organizing the spiritual aspect of art is a particular interest of mine and Tim Holmes and Coeleen, and so we're organizing a conference next year. So save the date, 10th to the 14th of June, 2022. We'll be together, and we're going to talk.
I'm going to put on the chat the name of sacred geometry artist who's really fabulous, and
Okay.
you can be inspired online. His name is Charles Gilchrist.
Oh, great. Okay, yes.
Uh-huh.
And if you put it on the chat, I'll put it on the YouTube channel.
Yes. Oh, he just the sacred geometry. He's got it down packed.
Good, good. Okay. Well, we'll be gathering information like that.
Righto.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
where's the link? Is it just his name that you're
No,
giving
I
us?
just, yes, you can just Google it and
Google
it'll
his
come up.
name. Okay.
In YouTube,
All right.
he has all kinds of short videos that explain sacred geometry, and he shows his process and so on.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
like
Terrific. So we will see you all on the 8th of June for Colleen's next session.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Coeleen.
All right.
Thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you.